Hey, hello. Today we are up at White Rock Mountain with the in-laws, with my wife's parents, for Memorial Day weekend, something we do every year. And the oldest and I are going to go out explore around some Forest Service roads. So just have the roof panels off today because it's a nice day, but not worth taking everything off just for the short time we're going to be out and around. So here we go. We ended up going out 2 days in a row. The first day, just my oldest and myself. The second day, my two younger boys and my mother-in-law, actually. Basically the same route both times. The first day, we started here, went there's these two water crossings. All the red marks were from when I was planning my route, figuring out where I needed to turn when I got to those points. So the first day, we've made this whole loop, but really after the second water crossing there wasn't much. I mean, there was some pretty views and spots, but overall it wasn't too exciting. The second day when we redid it, we just went to the second water crossing and then turned around here and just came back and retraced our steps in reverse over this section here. It's fairly rough, no extreme obstacles, but rocky, narrow, muddy. Definitely not something you'd want to take just two-wheel drive street vehicle on. You definitely want a little bit of a lift there. We never really needed four-wheel drive all that much. I mean, I had it in four for most of it, for the mud and whatnot. And there was a couple spots where if you hadn't had it, you might have been in trouble, but mostly it was just needed the clearance to get through where we were going. It's become something of a family tradition for us to head up to Mount Magazine State Park over Memorial Day weekend. We take our family and my wife's parents, and we get a cabin there and just kind of enjoy the long weekend. It's usually about 10 degrees cooler up there than in the rest of the state, which most years in late May is a good thing. The actual high point is called Signal Hill. It's up on top of Mount Magazine. Not extremely high elevation, but for this part of the country, it is. I guess I think Mount Magazine's technically part of the Ouachita Mountains rather than the Ozarks, but geologically, I think they're all kind of considered basically the same thing. So Arkansas has a highest point in Missouri, Louisiana, this general part of the country, a little lower than some other places that you think of as flatter, like Kansas and such. But then again, Kansas is on the edge of the Rockies, up in the high plains there. So Anyway, it's a real pretty area. We like to visit there. And then just the last few years I've enjoyed exploring around, taking the Jeep out from where we're staying in the cabin and just kind of exploring some of the Forest Service roads around there. And this year we found some really nice ones. I'd neglected to notice, as you can barely see in the, it's a bit fuzzy there, zoomed in, but apparently Jeeps, full-size vehicles are not supposed to use this trail. So it's for side-by-sides and such only, which I didn't realize until we'd already done it. Or actually, the second day we got there, I noticed it on the sign. But we did fine. It was a bit narrow, got some scratches on the sides, but definitely I don't think it was much worse than the first part of the trail up through around the first water crossing. But then it was maybe more consistently narrow, I guess. And then the first day we got there, we were just starting to cross the water. I overheard somebody in one of the side-by-sides saying something to the effect that, I can't believe you brought that Jeep through that narrow trail, or something like that. But that's what it's for. On these just pretty smooth and straightforward gravel roads, I let my oldest get some driving practice in. There were some pretty views, but overall it was just a real simple, a little bit boring, but he enjoyed the practice time. And then we did get into here in a little bit, get into some pretty rough places where they'd been widening and looked like they'd been filling and doing some general construction, where it was pretty rough, but again, wasn't any difficult driving of any sort. But not really interesting as far as off-road type stuff. And this is actually just a couple minutes after the previous water crossing I just showed, because I had a lot of trouble with the camera on the first day, overheated and shut off various points. The second day did things a little differently, and it recorded pretty much everything, so a lot of the footage is from the second day. But if you notice that you switch, shadows changing between shots, that's why. The second day we just went up to where we hit the gravel and then just did a U-turn and came back this way instead of continuing on around. We skipped the little side-by-side road on the way in, but on the way out we decided we'd go ahead and do it anyway, because we'd done it the first day. It was a little more interesting than just hitting on the gravel, so that's what we did. way back across the last water crossing, the first one we came through and the last one on the way out, I decided to enlist some help. Got my middle son to record us going across there, so we actually have an action shot instead of just a shot of from the inside of us moving. So definitely have to try to add more of this type of stuff in the future, whether it's having a boy do it or setting a camera out or something. So it adds a little bit of interest. So it's me and the mother-in-law in the Jeep and the youngest two out playing around the water.